Few hours after that, a mysterious shipment arrives at the headquarters of the Japan Hunters Association, and with it, tension in the air, like a blade drawn halfway from its sheath. All the major guildmasters of Japan have been summoned. The Blades, the Phantoms, the Invincible Kings, the Snowy Mountain. Names that once echoed with pride, now drawn together by crisis. And then, he arrived. Sugimoto Reiji, the newly appointed guildmaster of the Blades. And beside him, their strongest remaining S-rank hunter. These are the last remnants of Goto Ryoji's once mighty legacy. People around them whispered, 7 S-ranks lost at Jeju Island, including Goto himself. Some say they were part of Chairman Matsumoto's crooked plan, others, that it served them right, holding all the power and now paying the price. But as those same gossipers locked eyes with the members of the Blades, the room froze. Deadly stares, no words, just raw presence. And those whispers, scattered like leaves in the wind, they couldn't even look us in the eye before. Now they grow bold cause Goto's gone. Opportunistic bastards. Then another rumor drops like a blade on stone. The Phantom Guild might be merging with Snowy Mountain. That'd give them 4 S-ranks, just as many as the Blades. But Reiji, he scoffs. Let them merge. Let them all come together. Combine every guild in Japan, and they still wouldn't measure up to us. And now, we shift into the heart of the storm. The Prime Minister of Japan, furious, shouting at Chairman Matsumoto, an S-rank gate has spawned, right in the heart of Tokyo. What do you mean you have no countermeasures? What happens when it breaks? And Matsumoto, barely holding it together, replies, even our finest hunters can't handle this. Only national-level hunters can stand against an S-rank gate. But then, an old man, cold and calm, cuts in. That's why we've gathered Japan's top guilds here today. Talks begin, tense, desperate. Can we hire Thomas Andre? Does Japan even have that kind of money anymore? Countries around the world are locking their gates. No one's sending help. And then, Reiji stands up. There is one man who's willing to help. If he's paid. His name, Yuri Orlov, the Barrier Master, a world-renowned support-type hunter. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was driving to his guild office, just hit level 101. He unlocked the key to Kartanon Temple at level 100. But now, everything feels different. What's gonna happen at level 102, he wonders. And then, he sees her, Hunter Cha. She's watching him from afar. But when she notices she's been spotted, she turns to leave. Too slow. In a flash, Jinwoo appears right in front of her. Why are you running? She panics. I parked my car here last time, remember? When we used Shadow Exchange? He remembers. Then, she asks quietly, do you have a moment? Thoughts cloud her mind. Why did he take that photo with Yoo So-yoon? Are they dating? Why not her? She's S-rank too, right? But she brushes her thoughts away and gives him a message. Min Byung-gu left the message for you. What? They go upstairs, she explains. As she was dying, she heard a voice in the darkness. A hand reached out. Min Byung-gu, he said. Tell Jinwoo to beware the powers within him. He was pulled from the darkness, but no longer himself. A servant now. Revived to serve Jinwoo, and only him. And yet, I felt happy to serve him, he said. But before he could finish, he vanished. Your true army is gone. Later, as Jinwoo and Jinho eat together during a gate raid, Jinho jokes, why not let the shadows do the work while we chill? I can't. They're dangerous without supervision. Besides, I gain less XP when I'm far from the fight. Talk shifts. How's your sister? She's recovering. Baru is watching her. Jinwoo checks in using shadow preservation. And Baru? He's watching period dramas, talking like a royal knight. Then suddenly, a slip. Jinwoo sees Hunter Cha, taking a bath through a shadow connection. He snaps back, embarrassed. I should apologize. Maybe? Dinner? Jinho brings up the news. Ashram Gate, Shinjuku. If it isn't cleared in 3 days, dungeon break. They tried to contact you. Yes, Jinwoo says. But I have. More important matters. More important than an S-rank gate. Yes, an invitation from the system itself. 26 hours remain before the key to Kartanon Temple activates. Then to Japan's matter. Inside a foreign building, Reiji and his Blades Guild meet the mysterious S-rank, Yuri Orlov. The world's strongest support-type hunter, he reviews their strategy. You evacuated the citizens. Smart. But, only 6 S-ranks on this mission? You're understaffed. Reiji confirms. 1 S-rank per guild must stay behind to hold the front. Yuri smirks. That won't do. And then he drops the bomb. 3.6 billion. 10 million per day. He'll hold the gate for as long as they want. You're paying for perfection. Reiji stood frozen. He couldn't believe his ears. 10 million? A day? Yuri Orlov didn't even blink. He looked him straight in the eyes and said it again, calm and confident. Yes, that's 3.6 billion for a year. Pay that, and your country is saved. Reiji was stunned. But Yuri? He just scoffed. I'm not asking for 36 trillion here, he said, stepping forward. What I'm offering is cheap compared to what someone like Thomas Andre would charge you. He laughed. Casual, arrogant, like he already owned the room. Then turned around, smirking over his shoulder. What's it gonna be, huh? Become national heroes for 10 million a day, or abandon your own country just to save some cash. Then his voice dropped low and serious. You think you got the luxury to choose? You should be on your knees licking my boots right now. That's when Reiji answered. That sounds to me like you're pretty confident in your abilities. Yuri's reply? Instantly. Of course I am. Hiring me is worth more than hiring 100 of those losers standing behind you. That insult hit hard. The S-rank hunters from the Blade Guild didn't speak his language, but they understood. His tone, his face, the mockery, they didn't need a translation. He was calling them trash, and they weren't going to let that slide. But before they could even take a step, where R. Drofla Worth, Najik swirled. A barrier slammed down around them like an invisible wall. They couldn't move. Not even a twitch. Yuri's voice cut through the silence. You won't be able to move a single inch without my permission. He folded his arms. Go ahead, try something. You won't get far. The blade hunters gritted their teeth. They were S-rank, top of the food chain, but they were locked in place like helpless children. None of them could understand how. Yuri turned to Reiji again. I'll block that S-rank gate for you. I'll protect your people. I'll even save your precious friends' lives. Then he grinned wide. How does that sound? Tempting offer, isn't it? Reiji stayed quiet. He'd seen enough. This guy wasn't bluffing. Thank you for the demonstration, he said, but I'm not sure the government will agree to your ask price. He hesitated, thinking, is trusting this guy our best shot? Then he looked up. Actually, I take that back. Mind if I make a call? Yuri nodded. The next day, South Korea. Jinwoo stepped out of his house. His mother stood at the door, her voice soft with worry. Jinwoo, I don't have to worry about you, right? He gave her a gentle smile. Of course not. I've just got an appointment. I'll be back soon. But inside, he knew this wasn't an ordinary day. The key to the Kartanon temple had been counting down. And now, time had run out. 0 seconds. The gate's location was about to be revealed. And it appeared in the same place as before. A school. The Hunters Association was stunned. Another gate, in the same location? How is that even possible? They were lucky the school was closed. If students had been inside, it would have been a disaster. One guard stepped forward as a figure approached. Hey, this area is restricted. Then he saw the man's face. Everyone froze. It was Sung Jinwoo. How long has this gate been open? He asked. 3 days, someone answered. His eyes widened. 3 days. The system had said it would reveal the location after a set time. Not that the gate would already be active. He realized then he'd been tricked. The gate was open and unguarded. Have any hunters entered? Yes, a strike team went in about 2 hours ago. Jinwoo didn't wait. Call off the raid. Right now. What? It's a C-rank gate. There's no danger. If you don't pull them out now, they're all going to die. That includes Ahjin. They froze. What? What do you mean? Please explain. There's no time, Jinwoo said. I'll bring them back myself. Inside the gate, the strike squad stood at a massive sealed door. This must be the boss room, but why won't it open? They tried spells, skills, blasts. Nothing even scratched it. What? Are we just supposed to turn back now? And that's when a voice came from behind them. It's a trap. They turned fast, startled. Who are? I survived a double dungeon. Silence. Then someone whispered it. No way, it's him. It's really him, Sung Jinwoo. He stepped past them. There's something far more dangerous waiting behind those doors. I'll handle it. All of you, leave now. He faced the door, locked. A system message appeared. Door to the Kartanon temple, locked. Please insert the key. He reached into his inventory, pulled out the key. This is different from last time. This is why I needed this. He placed the key into the door. It opened. The hunters stood frozen. He really opened it. But then, the squad leader stepped forward. Hey, this raid was authorized by the Courage Guild. We bought the permit. You don't get to push us around just because you're S-rank. The others agreed. Yeah, just being strong doesn't mean you can order us around. Jinwoo didn't argue. I won't stop you. If you want to enter, moment he passed through. Access denied. Key not detected. Time. The floor rumbled. From above, a massive statue swung its blade, a strike faster than lightning. But Jinwoo caught the man and pulled him out just in time. Boom! The blade smashed into the ground. Dust flew. The rock cracked beneath it. Jinwoo looked up and saw it. The same guardian from the first double dungeon. He pointed toward the door. There's more of those waiting inside. You sure you still want to go? He turned to the squad leader. Listen, I need all of you to exit the gate immediately. Tell the association, a double dungeon has appeared. Then he stepped into the chamber. The door slammed shut behind. Inside, it was exactly as he remembered. Blue torchlight. armored stone statues, and at the very end, sitting on the throne, the god statue. Jinwoo stepped forward slowly. This is it, the place where it all began. But something felt different. They're not alive, not even magical beings. These are merely puppets. Then he stopped. Only one being in the room radiated mana. He turned to the angel statue, the one that once gave the rules. It's you. He stepped closer. You've been watching me. You knew I'd come back. He looked it dead in the eyes. Are you going to keep pretending? Don't you think it's time you gave me some answers? Then, the statue's eyes began to glow red, and its mouth curved into a dark smile. Finally, it moved, and with a voice that echoed like judgment itself. So, you finally returned, Song Jinwoo. And now, the scene shifts far away from the chaos brewing in Korea to the bustling airport of Japan. The man the world had been waiting for finally arrived. Yuri Orlov, the famed Russian mage, stepped off the plane. Cameras flashed wildly, reporters surged forward, bombarding him with questions. Everyone wanted to know just one thing. How did he plan on sealing an S-rank gate threatening Tokyo? Yuri, barely fazed by the chaos, simply smirked. Calm, confident. He said, as always, he would do what he does best. He'd draw an enormous magic circle around the gate and pour his mana into it. The reporters gasped. Was he saying he could block off an S-rank gate alone? Yuri shook his head. Not exactly. A barrier like that couldn't be maintained by a single person, not even him. But his circle would draw mana from its surroundings. With enough mana crystals placed across Tokyo, his magic would siphon that energy. Like jump-starting a car engine, once it begins, it would evolve, slowly transforming into an unbreakable wall. And then, he looked straight into the camera, flashing a confident grin. Just remember, I'm the one saving your lives. That broadcast didn't go unnoticed. Far away in Korea, Chairman Go-gun, he watched the live feed with folded arms and furrowed brows. His concern was clear, blocking an S-rank gate. Even Yuri Orlov might be biting off more than he could chew. But Go-gun, he knew one thing for sure. If Yuri failed, the result would be catastrophic. He turned to Secretary Woo Jin-cheol. What is Jinwoo up to these days? Mr. Wu answered. He's raiding gates in Seoul. He handed the chairman a list filled with anti-magic permits Ahjin Guild had requested. All those gates had been marked for raid. But there was a complication. Many of the gates were in districts controlled by White Tiger, Fiend, and Hunters Guild. A new guild moving in like that could create friction. Go-gun, he, however, chuckled. A one-man guild challenging the top guilds of the nation? Now that's something special. Then, as if fate timed it perfectly, Mr. Wu received a call. He politely excused himself and answered. What he heard next froze him in place. The caller reported something unusual. A gate had appeared in a schoolyard. But that wasn't the alarming part. Inside that gate, a double dungeon was discovered. Mr. Wu's eyes widened. Inside that very dungeon, back where it had all begun, the massive guide statue stirred from its slumber. With a thunderous rumble, it cracked the stone slab beneath it, spreading its mighty wings. It was awake again. Its voice echoed with a chilling finality. So, Jinwoo, you finally made it this far. At that very moment, Jinwoo stood in front of the slab, his thoughts racing. Is it okay to destroy this? These so-called commandments never meant anything. The statue answered as if reading his mind. They did mean something, but not anymore. Jinwoo stared into its glowing eyes. Are you the one who called me here? Yes. Are you a magic beast? No. The statue replied coldly. You're asking the wrong question. A moment of silence. Then what should I be asking? The statue's voice dropped like thunder. Ask not who I am, but who you are. This was it, the final test. If Jinwoo could survive, he'd be told everything. That was the promise. Suddenly, the other stone statues began to move. The trial had begun. Jinwoo instinctively reached for his shadow soldiers, but before he could summon them, the guide statue snapped its fingers. Denied. This is a test. No teaching allowed. I only want to see you fight, not your servants. A system message popped before Jinwoo. Job-specific skills disabled. Purchases and potions unavailable. Quest and level up rewards locked. Exit blocked. Complete the test to proceed. Jinwoo's eyes narrowed. So this is how it's going to be, huh? With all his cards stripped away, Jinwoo gritted his teeth and prepared to fight alone. A stone puppet charged, sword raised high. Jinwoo dashed forward, grabbed the incoming blade with one hand, crushed it, and hurled the broken shard straight into the puppet's face. But it wasn't enough. He lunged again, leapt into the air, and stomped down, shattering the puppet with his full body weight. Another came at him, this one wielding an axe. In one motion, Jinwoo drew his twin daggers, slashed the axe in half, leapt high, and drove both blades deep into the puppet's skull. An arrow flew toward him. He sliced it midair, then launched the broken pieces right back into the archer puppet's face. He moved like a blur, dodging, slashing, crashing through his enemies. But even as he fought, he wasn't afraid. In fact, he was alive. He thought to himself, this is the moment I've been waiting for. No, the moment I've been living for. Above, the guide statue watched, impressed. To think, a human could come this far. Jinwoo's senses sharpened. Before, these statues felt like they teleported, but now he could track their movements. Every blow, every dodge, every breath, he was in control. But then, the air shifted. The ground trembled. A massive rumble shook the dungeon as something impossibly large stirred. The god statue awakened. Its red eyes lit up once again. It stood tall, casting a monstrous shadow. The guide statue floated high above, a twisted smile on its lips. And now, it's time to worship the god. And then, the scene shifts once more, this time to the headquarters of the Korean Hunter Association. In a private meeting room, the air was heavy with tension, as Chairman Matsumoto of Japan's Hunter Association placed the document on the table. It slid across to Chairman Go Gun-hee. Go Gun-hee glanced at it, then asked plainly, "And what is this about?" Matsumoto calmly responded. It was a contract, a shocking one. Japan was offering to give up all rights to the essence stones on Jeju Island, an astronomical amount of wealth. In return, they wanted just one thing, Sung Jinwoo. The room went silent. The translator explained the deal. Go Gun-hee raised an eyebrow. A faint smile appeared on his lips. "I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you," he said. Jinwoo isn't affiliated with the association, but Matsumoto already knew that. He wasn't asking for favors, only for access. All he wanted was a chance to negotiate directly with Jinwoo. Go Gun-hee read the contract again. It was almost unbelievable. Giving up that much value just for a conversation? Was this how desperate they had become? After all, without Goto Ryuji, Japan had no one strong enough to close the gate in Tokyo. It was a tempting deal. Jinwoo's recent performance proved his worth, but Go Gun-hee wasn't naive. He looked up and, this time, he spoke in fluent Japanese to Matsumoto's surprise. He requested to continue the discussion without translators. Matsumoto blinked. He hadn't expected that. Go Gun-hee explained. His father once ran a small business in Japan. He'd learned the language early in life. As the translators left the room, the air shifted. Now it was just the two of them. Go Gun-hee leaned forward slightly, his voice calm but sharp. "Tell me, Matsumoto, is this another one of your crafty little schemes? If so, you should stop now." Matsumoto narrowed his eyes. "I don't understand." Go Gun-hee's eyes glinted. "Word is, the Blade Guild has cut ties with you." That hit like a hammer. Matsumoto stood up, startled. Go Gun-hee continued. He'd noticed it earlier. The Blade Guild had rejected association funding, choosing instead to accept only government subsidies. In the past, the Blade Guild always answered to the Japanese Hunter Association, but not anymore. Without Goto Ryuji, the balance had shifted. The guilds were fractured. Power struggles had begun. And if Japan failed to stop the gate, all eyes would fall on Matsumoto. Then, Go Gun-hee pulled something from his pocket, a small camera. He placed it on the table with finality. Goto Ryuji may have had twisted intentions, he said, but he represented Japan. And if the truth comes out that his fall, the chaos between the guilds, the needless sacrifices, were all a result of your manipulations, he didn't finish the sentence. Matsumoto's face turned pale. "What? Is this camera?" "It belonged to Goto's team," Go Gun-hee replied. "It's connected to my receiver." His mana flared with restrained fury. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" The pressure in the room spiked. Matsumoto stepped back in fear. "This isn't the time to be negotiating for essence stones," Go Gun-hee said coldly. "If this goes public, Japan will burn in the flames of its own corruption." With a sudden crush of his hand, he shattered the camera, and with it crushed the table beneath. Silence. Then, Go Gun-hee relaxed. His anger cooled. "But I'm not so heartless as to throw a country into chaos because of one man's greed," he said. "You should be thankful to Sung Jinwoo for that." Meanwhile, deep inside the double dungeon, the battle still raged on. Jinwoo sliced through a puppet's head, but they kept coming. Relentless, unending. He tried to think how to end this, but then, he felt something. A heavy presence behind him. He turned, and there it was, the god statue. Its arms were already raised, charging its deadly beam. It was too late to dodge. Jinwoo quickly activated Commander's Touch, pulling the other stone puppets mid-air and forming a makeshift shield. The god statue fired. The beam smashed against the shield. Jinwoo barely survived. Even with his current power, a direct hit might have ended him. But something had changed. Commander's touch had evolved into something greater, Commander's authority. Jinwoo had no time to waste. He had to finish the god statue now. He dashed forward at full speed. The giant raised its foot and slammed down, thinking it had crushed him. But from the dust, Jinwoo launched upward, eyes blazing. The statue began charging another beam, but Jinwoo wouldn't let it finish. He focused all his speed, combined it with his newly upgraded skill, and shot toward its blind spot. He dodged the beam by a hair. Then he landed on the statue's shoulder. He activated mutilation. He slashed across the giant's face, but even the Demon King's daggers only scratched it. He was shocked, but then his expression hardened. If he couldn't cut it, he'd break it. With a mighty leap, Jinwoo grabbed the statue's face, gripping hard enough to tear through steel. His shirt shredded from the pressure. Muscles tensed. Magic swirled around him. He slashed across the giant's face. Even the puppet master watching from above looked stunned. Another punch. Crack. A third. Boom. With one last earth-shaking strike, Jinwoo brought the towering god statue crashing down. The ground trembled beneath its weight. Jinwoo landed, but the other puppets saw him. They charged again. Jinwoo raised his hand. Commander's authority activated, and the statues collapsed, shattered by his will. The battle was over. Jinwoo stood tall, stronger than ever. But then, clapping, from the sky, the puppet master descended, impressed. Jinwoo's eyes locked onto him. You better keep your promise. The puppet master smiled. But the test wasn't over. Not yet. He declared he was the final test. Suddenly, the system issued an urgent quest. Xia, your heart will stop in 10 minutes if you fail to defeat the enemy. Jinwoo's expression tightened. Who the hell are you? The stone face of the puppet began to crumble. He chuckled. A foolish question, but fine. He looked down at Jinwoo with pride. I am the architect of the system. And now you finally understand. Then the scene shifts to the outside of the gate. Mr. Wu arrives on site. Despite the urgency, he could only gather 7 elite hunters from the association, and even he knows they're nowhere near enough to assist Jinwoo. Deep down, he's bracing for the worst. As Mr. Wu approaches the gate, he suddenly freezes. A storm of mana terrifying, suffocating crashes into him like a wave. The others around him sense his tension. Is anyone else feeling this? He asks, eyes wide. What is this bone-chilling aura? He immediately contacts the surveillance team. Are there any major guilds on standby nearby? One responds. The Hunters Guild is ready to raid. Mr. Wu follows up fast. What about their 2 assault hunters? The reply comes. Choijong In and Chahai In have both agreed to participate. Without wasting another second, Mr. Wu issues an emergency request to the guild. His thoughts race. What the hell is Jinwoo doing in there? Now, back inside the double dungeon, the architect stands tall, his wings stretching, then twisting into monstrous arms. With a sadistic grin, he launches toward Jinwoo faster than lightning and slams him into the wall. Jinwoo coughs blood, dazed, the impact rattling his bones. The architect doesn't let up, charging again, fists flying from all directions. Bam, bam, bam. No chance to rest. But then he notices. Jinwoo isn't just taking the hits, he's blocking them. His hands move with purpose, his gaze locked, steady, cold. The architect's grin widens. Impressive, he sneers. You're exceeding my expectations. He lands a direct punch to Jinwoo's face, blood spraying, yet Jinwoo doesn't fall. Instead, he retaliates with a crushing blow, sending the architect flying. The stone being stumbles, and for the first time, his voice trembles with excitement. So this is the power of a human? Cracks begin to form across his stone face as he laughs. How amusing. Jinwoo wipes the blood from his eye. This moment, this is what he was brought here for. He knows it now. He reached level 101, and the architect summoned him immediately. Why? Why was he chosen? Why build this system? What's happening to the world? But there's no time. The architect lunges again. Jinwoo dodges. Close combat isn't the play here, he thinks. He activates Commander's authority, hoping to attack from a distance, but the architect mirrors him. A shockwave explodes between them. Jinwoo is stunned. He can use the same skill. The architect, calm and confident, speaks. It doesn't matter if you kill me or not. Your answers were already predetermined from the beginning. Weapons float to his side. Axes, swords, spears. He stole them using Commander's authority, too. Jinwoo demands answers. How did you design all this? Why me? The architect reveals the truth. He didn't choose Jinwoo. In fact, he was against it. He merely designed the system. A perfect system to breed a player. But it was not his call. A system alert pops up in front of Jinwoo, 6 minutes remaining. The countdown to life or death begins. The architect ascends, declaring he'll fight at full strength now. With a thunderous boom, he lands and launches a full-on assault, using every weapon in his grasp. But Jinwoo's not phased. His senses sharpen. His focus narrows. He's slicing, dodging, countering. His body is syncing with his mind. He's becoming faster. A slash, Jinwoo severs one of the architect's arms. The architect screams. Even in this fake body, he feels pain. That's when it hits him. This isn't just a human. There's something else inside Jinwoo. Something divine. Just a fraction. But it's there. He roars, "How dare a mere human?" With 3 minutes left, the architect summons every puppet in the dungeon, even the god statue. They rise to protect him, but Jinwoo doesn't care. He slams the ground using commander's authority, blasting them all back. Puppets fly, stones shatter, no more wasting time. The god statue swings. Jinwoo ignores it, straight toward the architect. He slices through every obstacle, slashes off arm after arm. The architect manages one last counter, launching Jinwoo into the air. As Jinwoo regains control, he spots a familiar puppet. He leaps, smashes the puppet's head with a crushing elbow, and spins back toward the architect. Slash, 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 slash. One by one, he tears the remaining arms off the architect. A final massive blast shakes the entire chamber. As the smoke clears, only 2 minutes remain. And there stands Jinwoo, blade to the architect's throat. The architect, bleeding stone and pride, whispers, "The test is over." And then, the architect slowly raised his finger, pointing directly at Jinwoo. In a low, cryptic tone, he spoke. "The answer lies within you." Jinwoo froze, confused. What puzzle could possibly exist within himself? But before he could finish the thought, a system notice appeared. Data stored in the player's memory will now be retrieved. The architect left the choice up to him. Jinwoo paused. "The data? In my memory?" He took a breath, then nodded. "Yes, I accept." And just like that, another notification confirmed. Data retrieval successful. A flash of blinding light enveloped Jinwoo, and in the next moment, the entire scene shifted. Now, beneath the sky painted in hues of crimson and purple, Jinwoo found himself standing before a monstrous battlefield. An army of terrifying magical beasts, high orcs, giants, goblins, ice elves, all standing still, eyes turned to the heavens. Jinwoo followed their gaze, and there, floating ominously above, were countless gigantic gates. From above and below, beasts filled the world like a plague waiting to burst. Jinwoo realized this couldn't be Earth. This army wasn't assembled for a human invasion, it was preparing for something greater. Suddenly, the gates in the sky opened, and out poured legions of radiant, angelic beings, wings spread wide, weapons raised, and armor gleaming. This was no longer a memory. It was a war etched into the very soul of the world. A horn sounded, the call to arms. The sky trembled as angels clashed with beasts. Steel met claw, light met fury. The battlefield was painted red with blood. Screams filled the air, and Jinwoo watched as the balance tipped. And then, everything stopped. In that eerie silence, a new presence emerged. A figure cloaked in darkness, riding atop a shadowy steed. With a voice that echoed like thunder, he roared a single command, "Arise." Jinwoo gasped in disbelief. From the battlefield, the corpses of the magical beasts twisted and writhed, then stood again reborn as shadow soldiers. This was no ordinary being. This was the monarch of shadows, a presence so powerful that even Jinwoo felt minuscule in comparison. The armor, the aura, the cold fire in his movements. It was like watching a god of death ride into war. Wielding his sword, the Shadow Monarch tore through the angelic legions with ease. His commander's authority devastated the battlefield. Wherever he went, destruction followed. His army never tired, never died, resurrecting again and again to overwhelm the enemy. Victory was within their grasp until they arrived. Back at the entrance of the double dungeon, Hunter Choi Jong-in, Hunter Cha Hae-in, Mr. Wu, and other elite hunters stood in front of the sealed gate. Choi asked if Jinwoo was inside. Mr. Wu nodded. Even without entering, they could all feel it. The massive surge of mana radiating from within. Cha Hae-in's face tightened. She knew this mana. It was unmistakably Jinwoo's. Mr. Wu remembered Jinwoo's words from long ago, that he wasn't the one who cleared this dungeon the first time. So then, why was he back? Could this truly be a coincidence? They pushed the gate open and stepped into the chamber, and there it was, the eerie sight that haunted legends. The statues, the scriptures, the god itself. It was all real. Hunter Choi gasped. Mr. Wu confirmed it. They had stepped into the very heart of mystery. And then a voice echoed through the hall. A young boy's voice, arrogant, cold. "What's this?" The architect narrowed his glowing eyes. "Silence. How dare you disturb the king's slumber?" and by king, he meant Jinwoo. As the hunters located Jinwoo's unconscious body on the floor, their confusion deepened. But they didn't have time to react. In the blink of an eye slash, 3 hunters were torn in half. Not even Cha-Hae-in saw it happens. A chill ran down their spines. The architect turned to the survivors with a sinister grin. Perfect. Strong humans will make excellent first offerings to the king. Back inside Jinwoo's memories, the battlefield trembles once again. In front of the mighty Shadow Monarch, 2 new gates open, one glowing with an icy blue hue, and the other burning red. From the blue gate, armies of demons begin pouring out, clad in armor. These are the same demonic clans Jinwoo once encountered. The Ricardo, Pitos, Rokan, Ingris, and even the Ridiru clan, to which Isil belonged. And from the red gate, a colossal, wolf-like monster emerges, followed by a horde of beasts that resemble animalistic nightmares. At their helm stands a white wolf, noble and deadly, and beside him, a demon in black armor. Both stare down the Shadow Monarch, but the monarch, he simply watches in silence. Meanwhile, back in the real world, inside the double dungeon, Hunter Choi Jung-in takes command. He roars at the others to unleash everything they've got. Wounded hunters are dragged to the rear while those still able prepare to fight. As the chaos builds, the architect calmly stands with a god statue looming behind him. Its eyes glow blood red, shadows swirling around its body like ink in water. The architect mocks them, declaring that whoever manages to survive after all his puppets fall will earn the honor of witnessing the king's rebirth, if any survive at all. Suddenly, the god statue powers up. Its red beam charges, its eyes narrowing. Hunter Choi screams, "Watch out!" and the hunters scatter just in time. The deadly beam scorches the stone floor, narrowly missing them. Choi rushes to its blind spot and launches a fiery blast, buying them seconds. "Now's your chance," he yells. "Take out the puppets." Mr. Wu charges forward and lands a full-force punch against the statue, but it doesn't even crack. Choi tries again with his magic, but even his flames barely singe the surface. The stone statues are highly resistant to both physical and magical attacks. Hunters shout that their provocation skills aren't working, and even psychokinetic spells are proving useless. Choi grows desperate. They're out of options except one. Wake him up, he thinks. We need Jinwoo. With no other way, Choi aims a fire spell directly at Jinwoo, hoping the impact will snap him out of it. But before the spell connects, it's blocked. The architect appears, his tone deadly. "How dare you try to disturb the king's slumber?" He charges at Choi with terrifying speed. Just before the final blow, Mr. Wu and the others intercept, crashing into the architect and buying Choi precious seconds. Wu yells to Cha-Hae-in, "We'll hold him off. Go to Jinwoo." Without hesitation, she darts toward Jinwoo's motionless form. And just like that, we dive once again into Jinwoo's retrieved memory. A great war rages. The Shadow Army fights relentlessly against the demon and beast-type magical creatures. They regenerate endlessly, tireless and undying. Jinwoo watches in awe. If these were his own shadows, his mana would have run dry long ago. But the Shadow Monarch, his power seems limitless, an abyss of mana. The demons and beasts slaughter the shadows in waves. It becomes clear that this war isn't about humans. No, this is something ancient, something internal. This isn't a battle of survival, it's betrayal. As the war nears its climax, the Shadow Monarch, now wounded, stands over the fallen demon leader. "You had a chance to end this. Why did you betray me?" he asks. The demon doesn't respond. Instead, he chuckles. "What a shame. I could have ended you." The Shadow Monarch asks again. Silence. Then the demon growls something in the ancient monster tongue. Enraged, the monarch lifts him into the air with commander's authority and crushes him violently. And as the demon's body hits the ground, Jinwoo sees his face. It's Baran, the Demon King, the same one Jinwoo fought before. Confused, Jinwoo wonders why Baran is here, how he fits into this war. Then something shifts. The Shadow Monarch's armor fades, and Jinwoo sees his own face beneath the helmet. He's stunned. It wasn't someone else, it was him. He was the one fighting all along. Then something strange happens. A heartbeat on the right side of his chest. He places his hand over it and realizes another heart. A new, black heart formed beside his original one. Suddenly, more powerful angelic beings descend, far more formidable than those before. Jinwoo turns to face them. The vision dims, the light fades, and the playback of the retrieved memory comes to an end. After learning that the raid in Japan had failed, Jinwoo's heart sank. The images haunted him. Entire cities being trampled, defenses crumbling, lives lost in moments. A cold weight settled in his chest. This wasn't just a foreign country's problem anymore. It was the beginning of something far worse. But then, the scene shifted. Elsewhere, Jinho's father slowly opened his eyes after what seemed like an endless slumber. His assistant, who had been anxiously standing by, immediately checked on him. "You've been asleep for 23 hours and 46 minutes, he reported with a sigh of relief. Had it crossed the 24-hour mark, he was instructed to rush him to the hospital. The assistant brought two crucial pieces of news. First, Jinwoo's mother had also awoken from the eternal slumber. That name struck a deep chord in Jinho's father. Could Jinwoo hold the cure? Second, his own daughter had come to find him, asking why he'd been unconscious. He sat motionless. Meanwhile, chaos unfolded in Japan. Yuri Orlov, the one who once said no monster could pierce his barrier, was hurled like a rag doll. In a breath, he was gone, swallowed by a giant. The Japanese military was helpless. Their bullets did nothing, bouncing off the monsters like pebbles. Even the elite S-rank hunters couldn't land a blow. The giants were too fast, too powerful. It was another disaster, one that rivaled Jeju Island. In a helicopter above, Jinwoo watched the horror on the monitors. His fist tightened. If this wasn't stopped now, it wouldn't end with Japan. All of Asia could fall. But as dread built, Jinna's voice pierced it. "Please, don't go." Her fear held him in place. Jinwoo placed his hand on her shoulder. "Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I just need a little rest." Then he stepped outside, seeking air and clarity. In a quiet park, he called out one word: "Beru." The loyal shadow ant appeared, bowing low. "Yes, my liege." Jinwoo smirked, watching dramas again instead of guarding Jinna. Beru didn't deny it. He reported that Jinna had mostly been sleeping. Clearly, the trauma from recent events had taken its toll. Jinwoo nodded. Torn between family, duty, and the storm brewing overhead, he tried to focus. But destiny didn't wait. A black car pulled up beside him. No words, just a silent invitation to step inside. Inside, he met Yu Myung-han, head of Korea's largest conglomerate and Jinho's father. With no hesitation, Yu handed him a blank check. "Write whatever amount you want." Jinwoo raised an eyebrow. This wasn't recruitment. It wasn't even business. So he asked, "What do you really want?" Yu didn't blink. "I'm suffering from the same illness your mother had, the eternal slumber." Jinwoo froze. "Does Jinho know?" "No," he replied coldly. "Only 3 people knew. Now it's 4. Jinwoo listened, wary but intrigued. It couldn't be coincidence. His mother woke up. That meant something. Yu leaned in. "I've tried everything, doctors, medicine, treatments. Nothing worked. But your mother, she woke up. That can't be chance, can it?" His voice cracked slightly. "Please, help me. I'll never forget it if you do." Jinwoo stayed silent. He could already feel the weight of the world on his shoulders. And now, one more life, one more fragile hope. He looked down, closing his eyes. There was no easy answer. Just a new road. Somewhere between duty and destiny, the next chapter had begun to stir. The tension hung between them, unspoken but undeniable. Japan's skies were filled with chaos. But not from birds or planes. No, it was the news helicopters, hovering desperately above the carnage, broadcasting live. And what they were capturing was the stuff of nightmares. Viewers, listen closely. Giants were rampaging through the streets, towering, grotesque, merciless. They devoured people like snacks, crushed buildings like paper, and turned an entire city into a living hell. But the most terrifying of them all? The giant boss. The same monster who obliterated Yuri Orlov's barrier with a single blow, wasn't even moving. It just sat there, calmly guarding the gate, while the other giants tore the city apart. And guess what? It's been 2 days since that dungeon broke open. Out of 31 giants, only 2 have been killed. That's it. Japan is on the brink of collapse. The situation? Absolutely dire. Now let me say this straight. It's time. Time for our hero to step in. That's right, Song Jinwoo is coming. But here's where things get complicated. Remember Jinho, the ever-loyal comrade who always stood by Jinwoo's side. He's suddenly telling Jinwoo not to go. That's right, not to go. "This isn't like Jeju Island," he says. "This is different, more dangerous. Even Jinho can feel it. But Jinwoo, he knows something we don't. He explains that if these monsters aren't stopped here, they'll spread everywhere. What's happening in Japan won't stay in Japan. The world is next." And Jinho, usually calm and cheerful, gets emotional. You can tell he's terrified. But then, out of nowhere, he shouts, "I'm going too." Why? Because he's had enough of sitting on the sidelines. Red Gate, Jeju Island, the double dungeon incident, he was absent from all of them. And now, when the world's falling apart, Jinho refuses to stand in the background. Jinwoo isn't just his friend, he's his pride. And honestly, we need more people like Jinho in the real world. People who step up when it counts. And then, right when Jinwoo is still processing all this, Jinho says something that silences the room. I trust you. If you're safe, then I'm safe too. Jinwoo smiles, just a little. Then jokes that he was never really planning to go and tells Jinho to go home. But inside, Jinwoo isn't laughing. His mind drifts to the architect, someone nearly as strong as him, even when Jinwoo's level was over 100. That realization hits hard. There are beings out there stronger than him, and he's no god, no invincible hero. He can't do everything alone. But come on, Jinwoo, you're the main character of this story. You don't have a choice. And speaking of choices, remember Jinho's father? The one suffering from eternal slumber? Yeah. Jinwoo turned him down coldly, told him straight, if I had a cure and wanted to make money, I'd have sold it already. Then he walked away, leaving only silence and regret behind. Was he wrong? Maybe not. Jinwoo doesn't have unlimited holy water of life. And who knows what Jinho's father is hiding? It's not just about kindness, it's about survival, about decisions. And now, Jinwoo's made his decision. He walks into his mother's room and tells her he's going to Japan. He admits something we never expected. There are people stronger than him, but he can grow. He has to. And he must be on the battlefield. His mother doesn't cry. Instead, with quiet strength, she tells him about his father, how he'd run out to help anyone, even if he was in the middle of a meal. Then she gently says, finish eating. I'll help you pack. The next stop, Jina's room. Jinwoo stands at her door, struggling for words. Then, awkwardly, he says it. How she nearly died. He tells her about the countless times he nearly died. How dangerous everything has been. But how every time he's come back too. He thanks her for stopping him once before. And promises from the bottom of his heart that he'll protect her no matter where he is. And then, it's official. Jinwoo announces it to the world. He's going to Japan. Jinho is right beside him, part of the Ahjin Guild, walking with pride toward the airport. The reporters are stunned, the cameras flash, and we, dear viewers, can feel it in the air. The stage is set. The stakes never been higher, and the Shadow Monarch is on the move. As Jinwoo and Jinho made their way to the battlefield in Japan, the scene unfolding before them was nothing short of a nightmare. Civilians scrambled to evacuate, doctors refused to abandon the wounded, and the military stood firm, determined to protect everyone left behind. But the situation was spiraling out of control. Vehicles filled up fast. There was no more space. No more time. And then, the earth trembled. From the shattered streets, they emerged, towering giants, monstrous and merciless, casting massive shadows across the ruins. The soldiers opened fire, desperate to hold the line. But we all know how that ends. Bullets, completely useless against these beasts. Just as a giant raised its colossal arm to crush the helpless below, a shadow streaked through the battlefield, a blur of pure darkness. Jima, Jinwoo's loyal shadow soldier, had arrived. Without hesitation, Jima launched a devastating strike, hurling the giant backward like a ragdoll. The tide had shifted, and then, like something out of a legend, Sung Jinwoo and Yu Jinho entered the scene. Calm, composed, deadly. Jima was relentless, tearing through another giant with surgical precision. Jinwoo followed up, his movement fluid, inhuman. With one swift motion, he slashed through the earlier giant as if it were made of paper. The people watched in awe. The nightmare was still unfolding, but hope had just taken form. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away in Maryland State, East America, a different kind of conversation was taking place. Inside a high-security facility, a group of S-rank hunters gathered, their focus solely on Jinwoo. Word had reached them that Lady Selner, the woman who enhanced hunters beyond their limit, refused to upgrade Jinwoo's power. Her reasoning? He'll die anyway. They couldn't understand it. They had all received her upgrades. They knew their ceilings. But Jinwoo? He was something else entirely. His potential was limitless. Still, some scoffed at his abilities, mocking his reawakened pride. In their minds, fighting ants was one thing. Facing giants was another. They even started placing absurd bets, mansions, yachts, all on Jinwoo's demise. But then, Andre Thomas stepped forward, the strongest hunter recognized by the US government, a national-level threat. Without hesitation, Andre silenced the room. He placed the entire Scavenger Guild on the line, not against Jinwoo, but in support of him. He bet everything on Jinwoo surviving. That's how much faith he had. And though he itched to go to Japan himself, he stayed behind, focused on the S-rank dungeon break erupting on US soil. Duty came first. Back in Japan, the chaos was being broadcast live. News helicopters hovered overhead, their footage capturing the impossible. Jinwoo's shadow ants tearing into giants like a swarm of hungry predators. The scene was gruesome, ruthless, and absolutely one-sided. When a swarm attacked, there is no escape. Elsewhere, a little girl was running for her life, a giant close behind. Its massive hands swung down like a falling meteor. And then, just inches from her tiny frame, slice. The hand was severed clean off. The one who saved her? None other than the Knight Commander himself, Igris. And before the giant could even process what happened, Iron came crashing down like a cannonball, delivering a punch so powerful that the shockwave forced even Igris to shield the child. Iron stood there, eyes blazing, ready for more. Igris just let out a sigh, patting the girl's head gently, like a weary knight tired of cleaning up after the younger generation. Above them all, Jinwoo watched silently. His gaze was steady, his aura flaring with that familiar purple hue. The soldier he saved earlier approached him, gratitude in his eyes. Jinwoo nodded and offered a quiet fist bump. "You good, brave soldier," he said. No one knew if he spoke in English or Japanese. But in that moment, language didn't matter. Jinho was already moving, helping with the evacuation, while Jinwoo stood amidst the wreckage. Towering bodies of giants lay scattered around him. And then, we saw it, that iconic moment. With his hand raised, voice calm but commanding, Jinwoo spoke the word that always sends chills down our spines: arise. While chaos consumed Japan, the Hunter Association was in complete disarray. City after city, Nagoya, Shizuoka, Nakatsugawa, Takayama, and Nagano had been reclaimed, not by Japan's forces, but by one man, Jinwoo. The moment the Japanese hunter chairman saw him in action, something finally clicked. Goto Ryuji was right. Jinwoo wasn't just strong, he was on a level they couldn't even comprehend. But even then, the chairman hesitated. Could a single man really bring down every single giant in the country? He urged Jinwoo to stay in Osaka to defend and hold position while he reached out to neighboring countries for support. But, seriously? Doubting Sung Jinwoo? Jinwoo didn't even entertain the suggestion. Because he wasn't there to defend, he was there to end this war by himself. And while everyone else panicked about giants and monsters, Jinwoo? He had something else on his mind. Naming his shadow giants. He had already summoned and numbered 5 of them. The 6th came after Beru tore another giant down with ease. Jinwoo moved from city to city using shadow exchange, creating new soldiers, extending his control, and sending his army to assist hunters across Japan. To his ally Jinho, he simply said, "Get ready without me." Because for Jinwoo, this wasn't even hard. With his massive mana boost, his shadow soldiers had become practically unstoppable. No matter how long the battles dragged on, no matter how powerful the enemy was, his army could fight forever. If a shadow was destroyed, it just regenerated. But victory wasn't total. The S-rank dungeon break had caused an overflow. Lower tier monsters were flooding into cities all over Japan. Evacuations were falling apart. Hunters were being stretched thin. Subjugation efforts were turning into nightmares. Then came the 7th night of the crisis. Tokyo lay in ruins, but miraculously, it had suffered no direct casualties. Jinwoo stood among the wreckage with Jinho when Hanakawa arrived alone to report. She explained the situation. The giants had ignored Tokyo. Of the 16 S-rank hunters deployed to the field, 3 had fallen. The giants weren't just strong, they were organized, hunting in packs. Stronger than even A-rank gate bosses. Jinwoo's thoughts turned cold. If even S-ranks died, how many A-rank hunters had fallen quietly in the shadows? Hanakawa continued. 31 giants had appeared in total. One was even heading across the sea toward China. Japan's forces were simply overwhelmed. But the reason Japan hadn't collapsed? Sung Jinwoo? Most of the giants had been eliminated by him alone. The few remaining were being handled by his shadows and the last standing hunters. Now, there was only one enemy left, the giant boss. But something about Tokyo's ruins felt familiar to Jinwoo. The twisted silence, the lingering aura. It reminded him of the Demon Castle dungeon, a memory or perhaps a warning from the system. Even though the architect was long gone, Jinwoo couldn't shake the feeling. And he knew, whatever this was, he had to stop it. Elsewhere, Japan's S-rank hunters were frustrated. Jinwoo's shadows had already moved toward Tokyo, leaving them behind. It felt like an insult. Like the shadows didn't even care about the giants they had struggled so hard to kill. But Jinwoo wasn't thinking about their egos. He was looking at the bigger picture. He turned to Hanakawa. "Let's begin," he said, voice calm. She hesitated. "But not all the hunters have gathered yet." Jinwoo smiled. He said, "Everyone's here." And then they appeared. One by one, the battlefield darkened as his army of shadows began to gather. From the smoke and silence came his generals, Igris, the knight commander, his armor gleaming with dark crimson light, Tusk, the mighty mage, his staff burning with arcane fire, Iron, the hulking tank, stomping down with a roar that shook the earth. They knelt before their king. Hanakawa couldn't move. She was frozen in place, speechless, as the massive shadow army continued to assemble. It was like watching an army from hell rise under Jinwoo's command. An army large enough to go to war with an entire nation. Then came Jima, the shadow beast. Tank, the colossal bear-like creature. And then, the sky trembled. Something descended from above, slicing through the air with overwhelming presence. It was Baru. The Ant King landed like a main character, his aura radiating dominance. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Just his entrance said it all. This was the beginning of the end. Jinwoo turned to Jinho and Hanakawa and gave a simple instruction: find a safe place. I'll handle the rest. As they left, Jinwoo summoned his new giant shadow soldiers. Man, there's no end to his shadow. As the tension hit its peak, the battlefield was full. Thousands of shadow soldiers, silent and ready. Generals in front, their king at the center. It was like a scene straight out of Avengers Endgame. Only this time, the final boss was about to get hunted. Jinwoo raised his hand and gave the order: soldiers charge. The moment Jinwoo gave the order, the battlefield erupted like a volcano. From every shadow, the army responded, not with mere movement, but with a deafening roar that shook the earth itself. At the front was Baru, screeching like a war horn, followed by hundreds, no thousands of soldiers. And towering above them all, like living mountains, the shadow giants thundered forward, each step like a meteor crashing into the ground. It felt like the Avengers Assemble, except this wasn't a superhero moment. This was Shadow Assemble, an army born of death, reborn in darkness, answering only to the will of a single man. Jinwoo stood tall, cloaked in shadow energy, watching his legion move like a tidal wave of destruction. His expression? Calm. But behind his eyes, there was awe. Even he couldn't believe the power he now wielded. An entire army, summoned by a mere flick of his will. The target was clear. The giant boss, a behemoth who had once crushed Yuri Orlov's barrier with a single punch. It had remained motionless until now, paralyzed in disbelief at what it was witnessing. But then, it moved. The giant's muscles tensed. Its foot slammed forward. And then, with terrifying speed that defied its size, the monster charged. In a single swing of its colossal arm, hundreds of shadows were obliterated. Entire battalions vaporized like smoke. The shockwave that followed flattened buildings that hadn't already been reduced to rubble. Jinwoo's eyes narrowed. That thing is fast and strong. The giant's mana radiated like a black sun, heavy, suffocating, and filled with killing intent. For the first time in this battle, Jinwoo felt a chill crawl down his spine. He wasn't afraid, but he understood the weight of what he was fighting. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Tusk, floating behind the lines, raised his staff and unleashed a barrage of flames. It was one of his most powerful attacks. Waves of fire that scorched the earth and turned the air into liquid heat. But the giant didn't even flinch. It swung its arm, and the flames vanished. Tusk's magic was brushed aside like candlelight before a hurricane. Then came a shadow giant, charging in from the side, trying to catch the boss off guard. But the giant turned, and with a single clean slash, it cut through the shadow titan like it was paper. The body fell, disintegrating into ash. Yet the army didn't stop. From below, the shadow ants swarmed, biting and tearing at the giant's legs. Their jaws crunched through steel, and their bodies were covered in razor-sharp armor. But the giant kicked, flinging dozens into the air like annoying insects. Their bodies hit the ground hard, some exploded on impact. Still, more kept coming. The boss may have been powerful, but it was being dragged down, slowly but surely. At this moment, Beru tensed, preparing to strike, but Jinwoo raised a hand. Not yet. This wasn't recklessness. Jinwoo had been observing, analyzing every movement. He had saved mana for a reason. This giant was no ordinary enemy. He finally understood the trick. The giant wasn't defending itself because it didn't need to. Its mana was acting like armor, absorbing the impact of attacks while its full energy focused on offense. Every strike it delivered powered its defenses, a perfect balance of brute strength and magical reinforcement. But even perfect defenses have blind spots. Jinwoo summoned Kaizel, who roared into the sky as he materialized in a flash of black light. Jinwoo then gave the signal, Baru, Igris, go. In a blur, Baru launched forward, a dark streak across the sky. His body glowed with black lightning as he zeroed in on the giant's face. At the same time, Kaizel soared upward, and from his back, Igris leapt into the air. Igris gathered all his power into a single strike. His sword crackled with purple lightning, and in one fluid motion, he released it downward like a divine execution. The slash cut through the sky, heading straight for the giant's chest. But the giant was fast. It twisted, narrowly avoiding both attacks. Its massive hand lashed out at Igris mid-air. The hit looked inevitable, certain death. But Igris wasn't so easily caught. In the split second before the hit, he twisted his body and launched another lightning slash, forcing the giant to block with its arm. That was the opening. Jinwoo, already in position, vanished from sight and reappeared behind the giant's head. His dagger struck fast. 1, 2, 3 precise strikes, straight into the giant's right eye. A howl erupted from the monster's throat, a mix of agony and rage. The weak point had been exposed. Jinwoo didn't waste time. Ruler's authority activated. The daggers that had floated behind him surged forward, controlled by his will. They struck like a storm, piercing the giant's body in a rotating vortex. Blood, if it could even be called that, sprayed into the air. As the giant reeled, Beirut moved again, this time climbing onto the monster's shoulders. Jinwoo gave the final command, mutilate. The skill surged through his hands as Jinwoo dove again, aiming straight for the left eye. Flesh tore, mana exploded, and with both eyes destroyed, the giant staggered. And then Beirut finished it. He plunged straight into the eye socket, disappearing into the giant's skull. From within, Beirut shredded muscle and magic alike. Outside, Jinwoo kept attacking, slicing through the armor like mana with sheer force. The pressure built, until finally, with a roar that shook the heavens, the giant boss collapsed. After the giant collapsed, its massive body hitting the earth like a crumbling mountain, Jinwoo stood silent, watching. The system chimed in, you have defeated an enemy, but not the dungeon boss. That one line changed everything. This wasn't over. Even stranger, there was no smoke rising from the giant's corpse. No dark mist. No signal for shadow extraction. That was the final confirmation. Jinwoo narrowed his eyes. Something felt off. He extended his senses. A moment later, he thrust his hand out to Jinho, commanding him to stay back. Then, from the dead giant's mouth, emerged Baru. Yes, Baru crawling out of the corpse like a phantom. Turns out, the giant's magical energy had been so overwhelming, it had completely masked Baru's presence, even from Jinwoo. That alone showed how powerful the dungeon really was. But the surprises were far from over. Without warning, an intense magical storm erupted inside the dungeon. A hurricane of energy surged in all directions, so violent that it nearly forced Jinwoo to shunt backward from sheer pressure. He turned sharply just in time to see Igris shielding Jinho with his body. If Igris hadn't stepped in, Jinho would have been reduced to ash. As the magical winds roared around him, Jinwoo's eyes caught something unusual. The gate. It was glowing. Not normally. This was different. It was absorbing the magical energy from the dead giant, taking it in, pulsing with raw power. The energy was so sharp, so unstable, it could have cut even Jinwoo. Without wasting another moment, Jinwoo ordered Jinho to wait outside. He stepped through the gate alone, and what lay beyond was something else entirely. A vast space, massive in scale, big enough for the giants to have roamed freely. The air was thick, the walls ancient. This wasn't just a dungeon, it was something older, something deeper. Baru lifted his claw and tilted his head. He could hear something. Jinwoo stilled. Then he heard it too, a voice. Faint at first, echoing like a whisper through the abyss. A low, sinister laugh, growing louder and louder, mocking the heavens. How hilarious! You detestable rulers, look what's found me. Jinwoo paused. The voice was welcoming him, not as an invader, but as a monarch. Then Jinwoo saw it. Chained to the wall, bound in rooms older than time itself, was a giant different from the others. Not violent, not mindless, calm, sentient, aware. His gaze locked onto Jinwoo as if recognizing an old comrade. The giant spoke with gravity. Free me. I know the truth. I know the plans of the rulers, and you must hear them. However, after a long moment of silence, the giant's expression shifted. His eyes, which had once gleamed with recognition, now narrowed with confusion. He tilted his massive head slightly, scanning Jinwoo as if peering through layers of illusion. Something wasn't right. He realized Jinwoo wasn't the person he thought he was, not the monarch he remembered, not the one he had been waiting for. This changed everything. Jinwoo, now more curious than ever, asked, "Who are the rulers?" The giant's gaze sharpened. "They are using me as a stepping stone for the TRU war to come." Now this was a pattern. Every intelligent monster Jinwoo had met had struggled to explain where they truly came from. Something always stopped them, something deeper. But this one, he was different. He spoke clearly, with purpose. "Who are these rulers?" Jinwoo demanded again. The chain giant answered, "They are the ancient enemies of the monarchs." So, if the rulers were enemies of the monarchs, and Jinwoo was a monarch too, did that make them his enemies as well? The giant gave a slow nod, and then he revealed his identity. "I am Regression, king of giants, monarch of the beginning." It hit like a lightning strike. This wasn't just any monster. This was one of the original monarchs, one of the very beings this whole war had been built around. And right now, he was asking Jinwoo for help. Regression warned him. The monarchs, the rulers, all of them were watching. And Jinwoo? He wasn't ready yet. Not strong enough. Not alone. But Regression could help if Jinwoo freed him. And of course, Jinwoo wasn't about to blindly trust a monster. He reached for his dagger. And that's when it happened. A wave of magic spread out from Regression. The system reacted instantly. Pledge of Honesty activated. A new kind of spell. A deal one where neither side could lie. Not Regression, not Jinwoo. Under this contract, the truth would be exposed. Whether they liked it or not. Immediately, his voice distorted, twisted by the curse of honesty. Every word now had weight. Every sentence now carried truth. He asked Regression, "Why can I speak to you like this when other monsters lose their minds?" Regression snapped, "How dare you place the lowly denizens of the chaos world on the same pedestal as monarchs," he exclaimed. "Those monsters from the gates, the ones humanity had fought and feared, they were the remnants of defeated armies, discarded in the chaos world, twisted by time. The rulers had trapped them there. But Regression, he was different. He was a king. His ego had endured. And he had waited for this exact moment." And then Jinwoo asked the real question, the one that tied everything together. "Are the rulers' armies, the ones in silver armor, the ones with wings, like the architect showed me?" Regression confirmed it with cold certainty. And now came the final truth Jinwoo needed to know. "Why," he asked, "do the rulers keep sending monsters to humanity?" Regression didn't waste time. He spoke with the weight of ages behind his voice, revealing the truth that had been buried beneath layers of war and manipulation. The rulers, he said, were preparing for war. Their purpose was clear, to turn this world into a battlefield once again, a stage for their ancient conflict with the monarchs. To the unknowing, the constant flood of monsters may have seemed like chaos, but to Regression, it was deliberate. The monsters were tools, instruments designed to inject magical energy into the world. If monsters were calamities birthed by the gates, then magical energy was the blessing hidden within those same gates. Magic crystals, magic stones, sources of unimaginable power, had become the world's most valuable resources. But they were more than treasure. They were footholds, seeds planted for war. There was no better way to spread power that didn't exist than through the blood of those who already possessed it. The rulers used their captives, turning their deaths into fuel. As the bodies piled up, so did the magical energy, its density thickening with each battle. This was the fruit of the monster's blood, magic that empowered the world, until it became strong enough to endure what was coming. A second war between the monarchs and the rulers. And when that time came, the world Jinwoo called home would become a living hell. Reggie's tone grew tense. There was no time left. Now that they had made contact, the monarchs and the rulers would not stand by quietly. Both sides would move. Neither would allow Regression and Jinwoo to align. Jinwoo asked why he was being targeted. The answer hit harder than he expected. Regression sighed, as though disappointed by how little Jinwoo truly understood. The power Jinwoo wielded, it wasn't his to begin with. Its presence in his body was evidence that its original owner. That betrayal marked Jinwoo. In the eyes of both the monarchs and the rulers, he was now an enemy. But Regia made a promise. He would stand beside Jinwoo in the coming war. Jinwoo remained silent for a moment, his aura stirring. It wasn't just shadow energy, it was something ancient, something that made Regia take a step back in shock. In that moment, he thought he saw someone else inside Jinwoo, someone long gone. If you're going to fight by my side, Jinwoo said calmly, it would be better to become a shadow soldier. The suggestion surprised Regia. That aura, it was unfamiliar, and yet deeply familiar. It reminded him of a figure from the past. But Regia composed himself and explained the truth. He couldn't become a shadow. Rulers and monarchs possessed spiritual bodies. If they were killed, their essence would be destroyed entirely. There would be nothing left to raise. As Jinwoo processed that, he summoned his dagger. It was time to make a decision. But as he approached the chains, unease gnawed at his heart. Something felt wrong. Regia met his eyes and assured him, if you help me, I'll help you. It's a fair and absolute deal between monarchs. Jinwoo didn't move. He asked one final question. Are you on humanity's side? Regia didn't answer. That silence spoke louder than anything. Jinwoo's eyes darkened. Why aren't you answering? He asked. Is it the pledge of honesty stopping you? Then he pointed out something that couldn't be ignored. The mana crystals embedded in the back of your neck. As long as they're there, you can still hear the ruler's voice, can't you? Telling you to kill all humans. Regia's eyes flickered. A heartbeat later, he lunged. But Jinwoo was faster. He pivoted and drove his dagger into Regia's chest. Forget the deal, he said coldly. You're too dangerous to be left alive. Regia didn't fall. Instead, he straightened and snarled with burning fury. You think I'm the calamity? He said. No, Shadow Monarch, you are the calamity. He attacked again, but Jinwoo struck him in the stomach with enough force to drop him to his knees. Regia gasped for air, unable to rise. Jinwoo raised his blade. Regia looked up at him one last time. The war between monsters and humanity will only grow more brutal. And when it does, everything you care about will burn in the fire. His voice dropped to a low whisper. I hope you live long enough to watch it all turn to ash. Jinwoo didn't hesitate. With one clean stroke, he severed Regia's head. It won't happen, he muttered, turning away. The system triggered instantly. You have defeated the dungeon master? You have defeated the monarch of the beginning, Regia. One of the 9 monarchs had fallen. Only 8 remained. Jinwoo's experience soared. His level jumped to 122. It was a heavy reward, but also a heavy burden. Regia couldn't be turned into a shadow, but his magical core would serve as a powerful trophy from this fight. And yet, as he stood among the crumbling ruins, there was no sense of triumph. Only the reminder that the war ahead had just begun. Elsewhere, across the ocean, a quiet tension hung in the air. Lady Selner and the deputy director arrived at a heavily guarded location. Their destination, the home of Christopher Reed, one of the world's national authority rank hunters. Christopher greeted them with little interest. If you're here about the S-rank gate in Japan, I'm not going, he said flatly. But Selner shook her head. We're not here because of the gate, she said. We've come to warn you. Christopher frowned. Warn me? Selner looked him dead in the eye. You may be killed in the near future. Christopher Reed's expression hardened. The usually calm and confident national authority hunter was now visibly irritated. He stared at Lady Selner, the one woman in America whose words held weight beyond her strange ability. He acknowledged her past help, yes, but they weren't close enough for this kind of cryptic nonsense. His voice, sharp with frustration, cut through the room, demanding to know who the hell she was talking about. But Selner remained composed. Her voice, soft yet haunting, spoke of a dream, a vision where Christopher stood surrounded by ominous figures. The calm in her tone only made Christopher more agitated. His voice rose, shaking the walls as he brought up the rumors. Rumors that her ability was born from her days as a psychic before she awakened. He dismissed her warning, declaring with absolute certainty that there was no one on Earth who could kill him. After all, he wasn't just any hunter. He was a national-level authority. Yet Lady Selner didn't back down. Even in silence, her words struck deep. If her dream was true, Christopher asked, then who could possibly protect him? There wasn't a single soul alive with the strength to guard someone like him. He was at the top. He was the mountain. But Selner, with a gaze that knew more than she let on, quietly said, there is someone. And we all know who she meant. Hunter Sung Jinwoo. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Jinwoo stepped out of the dungeon in Japan, his expression solemn but victorious. Reggia, the ruler who had hidden himself among the giants, was dead. But it wasn't an easy win. Even sealed, Reggia radiated overwhelming pressure. It was a good thing Jinwoo didn't hesitate. Had he allowed that being to regain his full power, the outcome might have been very different. Jinwoo understood what this encounter meant. It was just the beginning. Bigger threats were coming. So, he needed to grow stronger, much stronger. The news spread like wildfire. All the giants had been defeated. The massive threat that devoured Japan had vanished in a single night. Whispers began circulating, not just in Korea, but worldwide, about a new national-level hunter, someone who stood equal with the titans of the world. Even the one giant who managed to cross the sea to China had been dealt with by Lu Zhigang, one of the national-level hunter of the world from China. But in Japan, another surprising turn took place. The head of the Japanese Hunter Association, Matsumoto Shige, voluntarily turned himself in. His motives remained unclear, perhaps guilt, or maybe a last grasp at redemption. And then, across the ocean, in Maryland, USA, a celebration was underway. American hunters who had just cleared an S-rank gate were being honored at a government-hosted party. Music, lights, and champagne flowed. But among the chatter and laughter, a storm approached. Andre Thomas entered the room. The towering national-level hunter, full of charisma and muscle, approached the group with a grin. He reminded them of a little bet they had made on Jinwoo during the Japan Gate. And guess what? He won. The yacht, the mansion. It was all his now. Spotting one of the hunters who hadn't bet anything, Andre joked about his fancy necktie. The assistant complimented it, but Andre, wearing his usual Hawaiian shirt, just tossed it away. It didn't match his outfit anyway. As the laughter faded, his assistant stepped in with news. The list for the International Guild Conference had been released. Among the global powerhouses, one name stood out, Ahjin Guild. Back in Japan, Jinwoo stood quietly. Even with his army vastly stronger than before, he regretted missing the one giant who escaped to China. Still, his forces had grown, and the shadows had left a deep impression on the world. Beside him, Jinwoo beamed with pride. Seeing people shocked by Jinwoo's power filled him with satisfaction. After all, his guildmaster had just done what entire nations couldn't. Just then, Hanakawa approached with a message from Korea. Jinwoo answered the call, but his smile vanished. It was his mother. Her voice was trembling. Something had happened. Something bad. She wanted him to return to Korea immediately. When Jinwoo arrived, he found the house somber. His father had fallen into an unresponsive state, eternal slumber. The doctor said it was critical. A guard even stopped Jinwoo from getting close, fearing his unstable mana could make things worse. Powerless, Jinwoo could only accept a diary, a collection of news clippings, achievements, and memories his father had gathered about him and his siblings. It wasn't hatred, it was love hidden behind impossible expectations. But just as he was about to leave the residence, he felt something familiar, a presence. It was Jinwoo. Jinwoo had teleported silently, standing now with a calm but knowing expression. He teased Jinwoo for being a crybaby again, saying it was making him emotional. And then, he revealed the holy water of life. Jinwoo didn't even know what was happening. Later, as Jinwoo's sister entered the hospital, she saw a man walking past in silence. She couldn't recognize him. Not in that moment. But soon after, gasps and tears erupted in the hospital. Jinwoo's father was awake, alive, fully healed. It was a miracle. No, it was the Jinwoo. Outside the hospital, Jinwoo walked away with a rare smile. He didn't need thanks. He didn't wait for applause. He simply whispered, "Even if it's a little early, happy birthday, Jinwoo." Jinwoo leans back, thinking, the fight in Japan's done, the crisis handled. But there's still one thing left to wrap up before heading back. He glances at his shadow exchange timer. 1 hour, 54 minutes left. Plenty of time. For once, he's not rushing against a clock. And now? The man who's always moving suddenly doesn't know what to do with himself. He scrolls through possibilities in his mind. Should he check for ownerless dungeons? Call Hunter? Chahae? In. Not that he's going to admit he wants to hear her voice, of course. But far away, across the world, at Christopher Reed's mansion, something is wrong. The man wakes up in the middle of the night, skin prickling, instincts screaming. He sits up slowly. That's when it hits him. No sound, not even the smallest one. The ticking of the clock? Gone. The hum of the air conditioner, gone. The quiet isn't just quiet, it's absolute. Christopher gets to his feet, moving through the mansion. Every step feels heavy. His hand hovers over a table, grabbing a glass of wine left from earlier. He holds it for a second, then lets it drop. Shatter. The glass bursts into pieces on the floor visually. But nothing, not a single sound reaches his ears. His expression darkens. This isn't normal, not by a long shot. He remembers a conversation, the deputy director leaning in, sliding him a card with the number. If anything unusual happens, call this man. Chairman Go Gunhee. Don't ask questions. Christopher's fingers twitch. Is this the unusual they were talking about? And then, light bends, space itself twists. A man with blonde hair appears in the middle of his living room, like he just stepped through an invisible door. Two more figures walk in behind him, emerging from the shadows like they'd been waiting for this exact moment. Christopher's voice is sharp. Who are you? His tone leaves no room for games, but they don't answer. The blonde one starts speaking in a guttural, alien tongue like words weren't made for human throats. The sound makes the air heavy. He calls someone, fragment of the brilliant light, and warns, you won't be able to save anything if you keep fighting while trying to help the humans. Christopher's jaw tightens. What? The blonde man's eyes flick upward, as if he's speaking to someone in the sky, someone only he can see. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the man up there, connected to you. Yeah, even I have no idea what's going on here, and I've been following everything. Christopher's patience snaps. The air around him ripples with heat, and suddenly, flames burst from his body. His clothes burn away in an instant. His skin glows with raw power. The intruders stop moving. One of them, the beast-looking man we've seen before on Jeju Island, mutters, spiritual body manifestation. The woman with him looks surprised too. They're not used to seeing this. This is something rare, something big. Christopher takes one step forward, the floor scorching under his feet. I'll at least take one of you with me. And then, he charges, fire trailing behind him, tearing through the air. The mansion erupts into a blazing hellscape. Cut to Jinwoo, leaving Japan. The streets are packed. Nearly 100,000 people cheering, waving flags, shouting his name. An entire nation showing gratitude. Baru, standing behind him, whispers, raise your hand, my king. Let them see their savior. Jinwoo doesn't even turn his head. Stop. He boards the plane, finds his seat, and when he sits down, someone familiar's already there. Jinwoo narrows his eyes. Not a coincidence to be seated next to someone I know, is it, Mr. Adam White? Adam smiles politely. It's an honor you remember me. Truth is, Baru whispered the guy's name a second ago, said, forgetting it would make the king look bad. Adam says, there's something urgent I need to talk to you about. Jinwoo asked if about the S-rank gate in the USA. Adam shakes his head, opens his laptop, plays a video. The footage is chaos, flames swallowing entire streets, fire trucks in every direction, water cannons blasting, mages forming giant barriers of ice to stop the spread. The heat is visible even through the recording. Jinwoo studies it. What is this? Adam answers Christopher Reed did this. It took 1,800 firefighters and 14 top-ranked mage hunters to put it out. Jinwoo's gaze hardens. That scale, it had to be a fight. Was it? Adam nods slowly. He lost. Christopher Reed is dead. The plain hum fades for a second. Jinwoo doesn't speak. And then Adam says it. We believe the one who killed him was your father. The world narrows to a point. In one motion, Jinwoo's ruler's authority wraps around Adam, lifting him into the air like a rag doll. The laptop is ripped from his hands and smashed into pieces. Jinwoo's voice is low, sharp, and dangerous. If this is a joke, you're not walking out of here alive. Adam's bodyguards stand instantly, but Adam throws out a hand. Stop. Moving now would only get them killed. He forces out the explanation. The suspect came out of a dungeon. His aura wasn't human. He attacked one of our S-rank hunters for no reason. He pauses. And he's linked to the explosion at the Hunters Bureau headquarters months ago. Jinwoo's eyes flicker memories of that news report. Adam says they've been searching for him in secret, but there's been no trace. Now, with Christopher Reed dead, we believe he's the culprit. And at the International Guild Conference, we're putting out a red notice. The world will know his face. The words hang in the air. Jinwoo doesn't answer, but the look in his eyes says everything.